Major exciting news to start your Monday afternoon as Bernie Sanders speaks about your second stimulus check in the CR, the continuing resolution package. Meantime, state stimulus checks are coming out. They're coming out across the board. States are now sending out stimulus checks to residents as they're wondering what's going on with Congress. But Congress is trying to get it done this week, and Bernie Sanders' representative and Senator Josh Hawley have the bill. Stimulus check, $1,200 adults, $500 dependents. So what will they do to ensure the stimulus check comes out? Minutes ago, Bernie Sanders spoke about the stimulus check, spoke about the negotiations. It's all really great news. Then I'll be turning back to Congress and what will happen in January. Multiple stimulus checks, hashtag MSC. Then the $2,400 SSI and SSDI, their stimulus check on top of that. A lot of stimulus checks, a lot of great news. I'm so excited for you. Let's get it going. And this is a major broadcast of Afternoons LALATE. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Afternoons LALATE in a day in which everything is turning to positivity from confusion. Really exciting news as states are sending out stimulus checks. Whether you're in Minnesota, Maine, Colorado, New Mexico, Oregon, North Carolina, Houston, or the city of Houston, or Pennsylvania, or counties like Jacksonville, Orange, Nome, I'll be giving you the details about your stimulus checks. Then I'll be turning back to Congress. The big stimulus check coming from Congress. That is the battleground this week. Then I'll be getting you money right now, not 5 days from now, not 5 weeks from now. So please subscribe. No one's ensuring more viewers get stimulus right now from your cities, counties, than myself. There's a lot of stimulus checks at play. There's a state stimulus check. There's a state rent stimulus. There's a state utilities stimulus. And then there's the federal stimulus check, the one that Congress is working on. Then there's the MSC in January from Joe Biden. And then there's the SSI and SSDI. So many things that you need to know about. Some are automatic. Some you have to apply for. So I need you to subscribe and hit the alert button so you don't miss a video when I'm going taped or going live, because there's breaking details across the board. No one's ensuring more that you get these monies right now. And so I don't want you to miss any breaking news as it's developed or announced. Also, like this video. It really helps in the algorithm rankings. In this video, I'll be going over the state stimulus checks that are coming out. That's the first thing. Then I'll be turning back to Congress and what Bernie Sanders said minutes ago about the federal stimulus check, the one from Congress. Again, something you don't have to do anything for. It would just land. It would just arrive. Then I'll be turning back to states for rent stimulus. This is something you have to apply for. Utility stimulus. Then the MSC, Joe Biden's MSD, the multiple stimulus checks in January, something you don't have to apply for, something automatic. When would that formulate? How would it formulate? And finally, the $2,400 of SSI and SSDI, something, again, you don't have to apply for. It's automatic. All really exciting, great news. So much developing. And with that, let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news, as you sit here today, is that Bernie Sanders is absolutely doing the God's work. He's incredible today. Bernie Sanders basically came out and explained the following last Friday. He said, you know what? If you want to do a continuing resolution bill, a budget bill, a CR, and you want to get it done, I will give you an extension for 1 week. But when you come back this week, and you look at your new deadline, which is this Friday, I'm not going to give you another extension. In fact, I'm not going to allow you to pass any CR or pass any extension for the CR for the budget bill until you do this standalone stimulus check bill. It's incredibly important you understand the narrative of this, because anything for a continuing budget bill, which is to fund the federal government, requires it to first pass the House, then pass the Senate, and pass the president, and then be signed by the president. But it'll never pass the Senate if the senators are against it. And who are against it? Well, here's the bill. Here's what, wrong page. There we go. Try again. Here we go. Here is the bill, written by Josh Hawley, the senator from Missouri, now supported by Bernie Sanders, the senator from Vermont. It's a standalone stimulus check bill, $1,200 for adults, $500 for minors. And yeah, it doesn't have some things in it, but we now have clarity from Bernie Sanders today what's going on. The clarity is the following. Bernie Sanders wants that bill to be passed first before you hear anything for continuing resolution. He's basically saying, do the stimulus check first, because you always try to not take care of the stimulus check. Do the stimulus check first, and then we'll do the CR. Otherwise, if you don't do a stimulus check first, I'm blocking the CR from formulating, and the federal government will shut down. Let me explain a little bit more in detail. You're going to see something arrive, presumably, from the House to the Senate. I just expect that to happen. Nancy Pelosi is going to try to get something passed in the House and send it to the Senate. But what happens in the Senate? Well, you have Mitch McConnell, who doesn't want to do anything but his way or the highway. But then you have senators. What are those senators saying? Sanders, Warren, Hawley, AOC are saying, you know what? Nothing until you do the stimulus check. Stimulus check, and then we'll talk about all this other stuff. Congress is not going to go home until we do that. That's what the American people want, said Sanders minutes ago. Incredible. Now, that's the first part. The second part is the items I talked about over the weekend. How about the eviction moratorium, the mortgage forbearance, the UI, the PUA? All those important things which expire in a few days. What is Sanders and Hawley going to do with those? So now we know that Sanders is unhappy with the problem creators' versions, or bifurcated, or two this, or double, or single, or whatever you call it. He's unhappy with it because he thinks it's too small. What kind of negotiation is that when you go from $3.4 trillion to $188 billion in new money? That's not negotiation. That's a collapse, he said this afternoon. We cannot go home until there's strong unemployment benefits plus $1,200 per adult, plus $500 per kid for every working person and family in this country. Can't make it any easier simpler than that. So he's basically saying he's not leaving PUA and UI out of the question. Absolutely not. He's saying you are not going to go home as a senator or as a House member unless there's a stimulus check in the mail, PUA is extended, UI is extended. Now, the only words that he doesn't mention in there that I assume he wants as well, and if he doesn't, you need to make sure, and you need to remind him about these words, is an eviction moratorium and mortgage forbearance. I continually am the only one that's repeating those words, eviction moratorium, mortgage forbearance. It's not getting done. Joe Biden has called for it. Some Democrats have called for it, but the problem creators continue to leave it out. Nancy Pelosi continues to leave it out. And it's not in Josh's bill because the bill is just about stimulus check. You need eviction moratorium and you need mortgage forbearance. Both of those are expiring in January 1st. As Bernie says, Democrats passed the $3.4 trillion bill. You had the Republicans in the administration talking about $1.8 trillion. And now you're going down to about $188 million in a new problem creators bill, which does not include one nickel in direct payments, stimulus check for working families in this country. Totally unacceptable. And this has to be rejected. Done. So ultimately, I don't really care what the problem creators are saying because they are creating problems. They want to do big bailouts of big corporations like hotels and airlines that got stimulus before, or PPP that there's no less than 3 rounds of PPP before. The reason why there's $800 billion sitting at SBA of unused CARES Act 1 money is because it's $800 billion of unused PPP money. Are we going to continue to issue PPP money that's unused and just sort of sitting around and thinking we've done something for America? We haven't. That's unused because no one wanted it. You had the opportunity to get it before, you didn't get it. It's time to help Americans now with a stimulus check, PUA and UI. Amen. Enough of all the silliness. Now, the great news is that basically you're going to see a procedural battle. And the procedural battle is that whatever lands from the House, if it ever passes the House, I'm presuming it does, but whatever lands from the House, there is no bill still, whatever lands from the House in the Senate is going to get blocked unless they do a stimulus check vote on Josh's bill first that approves it and sends it out, and then they'll do PUA, UI, eviction moratorium, or mortgage forbearance. The following messages need to be sent very clearly to @Bernie Sanders, @Hawley, HAWLEYMO, @AOC on Twitter. One, make sure that Josh's bill is revised, the language, to ensure that all adult dependents get a stimulus check. The language seems to suggest that adult dependents may not get a stimulus check. Again, that was the bad language of the first stimulus package that left out anyone who is an adult but a dependent on someone else's tax return. Gotta fix that language. Fix the language. Next, you need to ensure that PUA and UI is extended, and you need to ensure that eviction moratorium and mortgage forbearance is extended, and we're done. We're done. So what could happen this Friday, and what is set up to happen? If Bernie Sanders and Josh and AOC and Warren have their way, you're either going to see two options happen. Either the federal government is going to shut down and nothing is going to get passed from the Senate, or two, you're going to see the stimulus check go out. The stimulus check would not land in your bank accounts before Christmas because it takes 10 days to receive it. So you would add 10 days from the date at which it becomes law. The latest date for this to become a law under this deadline is about Saturday. So 10 days from there, you would add 10 days, perhaps routing time, if you're signed up for electronic receipt or debit card or something like that, like IRS payments. Now, states have had enough of this. So states have stepped up and said, you know what, we're sending out stimulus checks. So get your pen and paper ready because I'm going to go over the states and the counties that are sending out stimulus checks. Ultimately, this is what I want you to know. I've been telling you for weeks that around December 15th, the states are going to use that use or lose money, that CARES Act 1 money that was given to the states, $150 billion of it, dedicated to the cities and counties to use, and they're about to use it or lose it. And so you're going to see a lot of cities and counties announce this just right now this week. And I want you to ensure that if you don't hear your city or county mentioned or state, stay in touch because they may announce them in the next few days. All right, let's get going. Minnesota, $500. You're getting $500. Maine, $600. Colorado, $375. New Mexico, $1,200. Oregon, $500. North Carolina, $335. Houston, $1,200. Austin, $2,000. Pennsylvania, pending. Also potentially pending. New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, Virginia, and Delaware. For counties, Jacksonville, $1,000. Orange, $1,200. Nome, Alaska, open, pending. Actually, no, not pending. Actually approved. Just you have to apply for it. Also pending, Escambia County, Fort Worth, and Gadsden County, which is in Florida. What's important to understand is that ultimately, these are the only ones I've heard so far. As I hear about more, I'll tell you about them. I don't know the routing times. I don't know the applicability. I don't know when they're landing. And I don't know the nuances of them. The best way to see things that are pending, that have not yet approved, is go to your local news to see what the negotiations are between your governor and your state legislature. Those are the ones that are trying to get the checks out. Now, what's important to understand is on top of that, Joe Biden wants to give you MSC, multiple stimulus checks. Multiple stimulus checks. Joe has promised to give you stimulus checks until this pandemic ends. And now we know a little bit more today about when the pandemic may end and when it may not end. There were initially some reports that people like you, like people my age, would get a vaccine for the virus around April. There's now suggestions it could be even later. The new report today said that seniors that we thought were going to get the vaccine in December may not get it to February, said one analyst minutes ago on broadcast news. That concern moves all the dates later. Moving dates later means more stimulus checks. Joe Biden has promised to give you as many stimulus checks as needed until we're out of the pandemic. This, of course, would be in January. Harris, his VP, was the person who wrote the bill with Bernie Sanders. $2,000 a month, every month for at least 6 months, or until the pandemic goes away and unemployment settles down. Neither events have occurred. Next, what about $2,400? Yes, so you would get that on top of this. This is a stimulus check just for my SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, and veterans benefits, on top of everything I talked about. This would be $200 a month every month from now to December. Very exciting news. And so this would amount to $2,400, but it wouldn't stop there. Two other great things. One, you would get a new lift. A lift would be lifetime. The lift would be as much as 20%. So if you're making $1,000 a month, you get $1,200. And then a new benchmark. The benchmark would tie your benefits annually to something other than COLA. Thank goodness. And that new benchmark would help to ensure that you get a rise in annual benefits as time goes on, unlike COLA, which has been relatively flat. Now, what else? As you see, there's a lot of things unfolding. What I want you to understand is there's a lot of stimulus checks out there. There's also stimulus checks there for rent. There's stimulus checks there for utilities, for food, and even free Christmas gifts. I want to go through the hierarchy of where things are and guide you on how you get them and what do you do to get them. First, you have the state stimulus checks and the county stimulus checks. Those are coming from your state and your county, and they're landing right in the manner in which you normally receive things from your state. So if you're basically receiving things by mail, it would come by mail. I don't have any information about the tracking or the tracking times. It's too many states to keep track of. Second, rent stimulus from your city, county, state, from your city hall, your city housing authority, your state housing authority, or your county housing authority. That's something you have to apply for. That's the big kahuna. That's $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 you can get from your cities and counties. Who are they? Rent stimulus is being paid now in the city of Atlanta, county of San Diego, city of Nashville, city of Harrisburg, city of New York, states across, counties across the state of New York, virtually the entire state. Then other counties in Georgia, like Gwinnett and DeKalb. This is rent stimulus from your city, county, and state. Viewers have also got it from other things that I don't normally cover, like San Bernardino County's Housing Authority. Viewer got rent from that organization. Ultimately, what I'm telling you to look for is look to your city, county, and state housing authority. I've had viewers get rent from their governments in West Virginia, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Massachusetts. Those have been the real big ones. $14,000 in Massachusetts, one viewer got. In Alabama, another one got, I think it was almost 6 to 12 months. Another one in Louisiana. So these are the ones that are big money. Then utilities. Viewers continue to get utilities. I think just in the last 2 hours, I got 3 more viewers sending me DMs to thank the volunteers for getting them 1 to 3 to 5 months of rent. The rent can span anywhere from 1 month to 6 months. Then there's utility stimulus. This is free stimulus coming from either city or county or state or utility companies. You call them up. How do you find all these things? Well, you're looking for what's called assistance, rent assistance. Just a simple word, assistance. You don't use complicated words. You call up your city, county, or state, say, hi, do you have rent assistance? Do you have rent assistance? You call up your utility companies. Do you have utility assistance? I'm having problems paying my bill because of COVID. You don't use complicated words. You don't refer to your situation as something unique to the applicant. So you don't say, do you have rent assistance for people in a blue blazer and a green shirt? You don't ask those questions that suddenly make the conversation very narrow. You keep them broad. Do you have rent assistance? Thank you. End of the sentence, period. No more, no less. Next, what's important to understand is that after we're through those hierarchies, there are organizations that are paying for rent assistance across states, across counties. Tune into Purple right after this. On that video, I go over the organizations that are paying for rent for individuals, viewers of this channel. These are private nonprofits different from your city and county. They're paying rent, they're paying utilities. So tune into Purple right after this recording. I'll go over that as well. They're also paying for utilities. Next, how about the whole nuance of PUA UI? What if my benefits under UI expire this week? What's going to happen? I'll explain all those nuances on Being a Mitch, which is live after Purple. 2 recordings after this. I will answer your questions on air live about UI, PUA, and FPUC. So what do I predict and what do I anticipate you to do? What I want you to do is I want you to get this state stimulus checks if they're around, but I don't want you to be excited about them because they're not a lot of money. $375, certainly $1 or $2 or $2,000, but many are not $2,000. What I want you to focus on is the rent stimulus. That's the big numbers. $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. I want you to focus on that. And the utility stimulus. I want you to get as many things as you can get. Don't do one and then sort of stop. Then I want you to tag this video and tag all the politicians that support the propositions that we're discussing on this. Tag Bernie Sanders, at Bernie Sanders. Tag Hawley, HAWLEYMO. Tag AOC. Tag Elizabeth Warren. Tag other Democrats that support everything that is at issue for the second stimulus check. Also tag McConnell's communications director and press secretary. And then also tag broadcast reporters that I've detailed on this channel who need to keep the narrative on focus and or book me to talk about the subject matter. Because no one's pushing harder and further to get this done than you and I. Also, subscribe and like this video. Coming up right after this is Purple, in which I go over this big money from your cities, states, and counties. I'll have more of those details as well. Stay tuned, and finally after that is Being the Mitch. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay in LA for more.